Good morning. My name is Jeff White and I will be your trainer for today. So we are going to be doing the FlexMLS app on iPhone. Now this also works for the iPad. I'm currently teaching off an iPad. The difference being is down at the bottom, you'll see this button. It kind of does like the 1 times versus the 2 times size. So it does work fine on an iPad. Either is fine. So this class is going to be about 50 minutes to an hour long, depending on how many questions we have. So we are going to go through the app basically from left to right. So the first thing we're going to focus on is searching, and this is what you'll spend most of your time doing. Now, before I get into these menu items down here, I do want to point out that there is a quick launch bar up at the top. And if you remember from like my FlexMLS 101 class, there are things that you can type into the quick launch bar. The examples would be the first 5 things that I talked about. Number 1 was an MLS number. Number 2 was an address. Number 3 was a radius. Number 4 was a name. And number 5 was an actual search. So like active listings between 300 and 350,000 in the city of Jacksonville. I'm just going to type in a couple of examples just to show you how this works, but I'm not going to go in detail because we spent at least 45 minutes on that in the FlexMLS 101 class. So I'm going to tap into the quick launch bar and I'm going to put in an MLS number. So 1002-35800. So for example, you're out with the client and maybe you're going to look at some open houses and they give you an MLS number they want you to pull up. Really easy. I see it right here. Tap on it. And I can pull up that listing. And one cool thing about the app is, let's say you hadn't planned for this one. You got driving directions for like 3 or 4 other properties. Well, if you want to get driving directions just to that specific property, there is an option right here. But this, if you pull up a listing, you can see, all kinds of information. And this is the FlexMLS, this is the private version. So if your client saw a listing on Zillow, they wouldn't have all the information necessarily, but you're going to have all the information because FlexMLS is the primary source of data. So pulling up an MLS number is really simple. Now, another example in this quick launch bar, tapping that again, is you could put in an address. Let's say your client doesn't know the MLS number, but they have an address. So 1297 North Bryan Road. So it's the same listing, but I pulled it up by an address. Tap on that. There we go. So the quick launch, again, the 5 things you can do here. You can do an MLS number. You can do an address. You can do a radius. So I could do 2 miles from and that MLS number, or I could do 2 miles from and an address. So it's the same functionality we saw on the desktop side. The 4th thing could be a name. If you were to type in something like Jessica, you can see all the Jessicas in the board. There's, you can see the different members, or do an actual search, active, comma, space, 200 to 250, comma, space, city of Jacksonville. So again, I'm not going to do that in depth because we did that in the 101 class. I want to focus on the functionality that is specific to the app. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to point out these different options, address through saved, and then we are going to do a new search and start a search from scratch. So the address search is very similar to what the quick launch bar is. If you tap on address, you can put in a street address up here. So I'll do that exact same one, 1297 North Bryan. And you see there's one result. So that would be that same listing that we were looking at, but the other option would be advanced. Now advanced is more similar to what you'd see on the desktop site functionality. Toggle these on. These are like Mr. Coffee makers. So if I turn it, tap on it, it turns green. And so it'll ask me to put in a street number. So you could do a range like 55 to 59. Maybe you want to see everything on 55 to 59 Oak Park. So maybe these are our 3 condo complexes and you want to see all the listings that are in, for those numbers. Now I'm not going to see any results because this obviously does not exist in your area, but just to show you, there is a simple option which you're just typing in a street number, a street name, You probably don't even have to do the street suffix. It should find it, where the advanced is if you need to do a little more detective work. Now the MLS number, this one is different than what we do in the quick launch bar. In the quick launch bar, we're just going to type in one MLS number. Whereas this MLS number search, this is going to be if you have multiple MLS numbers. So let's, for example, you meet up with your client and they give you a list of MLS numbers, stuff that they found on Zillow or Redfin or another site. That's very simple. You just go to the MLS number right here, you tap on it, and I'm going to put in a couple of MLS numbers. So 1002 35800, and then I'm going to do a comma right here to separate the different ones. So 1002 35801. So the FlexMLS app is basically going to show you, I'm going to tap on done so I get some results. It's basically going to show you a lot of the same functionality on the desktop site, but it's meant to be with you while you're on the road, when you're with your clients. So after this class, I want you to be comfortable using it, because what a lot of times what will happen is you'll prep for open houses, you meet up with your clients, and they'll have some questions about, like, maybe they see a realtor sign somewhere while you're out, or they bring some MLS numbers or some addresses while you're out with them. You know, some realtors, if they're not comfortable with the app, they feel like they have to go back to the office to print off some listing reports. You don't need to do that. You can pull up these listings on the fly, and that's really the purpose of this class, is when you're with your client, how can you better help them? So either we're going to be searching for listings, we're going to be updating searches while we're with them, and at the end of the class, we're actually going to edit a listing by, like, changing a price or uploading some photos. So that'll be at the end of the class. But again, this doesn't have all the functionality of the desktop site, but it allows you to do a lot of things that you would normally not be able to do if you didn't know how to use the app. And another cool thing is this is the FlexMLS class for iPhones. Now, it also works for an iPad. And the great thing about having a tablet in your car, and this is the reason I have an iPad, is I turn my mobile hotspot on my phone, and then I have my tablet. And if I turn my tablet sideways, I can pull up the FlexMLS website on my Safari browser and use the full site on my tablet. So if I do need that full functionality while I'm out with my clients, you know, stuff that isn't on the app, you can just, you know, pull up the full site if you have a tablet, like a full-size Android or a full-size iPad. So that is a cool option. So we'll just pull up these two results. And let's say they were looking at a fancy one, but they were also looking at one to rent. So if you want to pull up any of these properties to get more information, just tap on it. See more information. And so again, this is the FlexMLS. This is the private version meant for you. So if your client's looking over your shoulder, they're going to see all the information. Okay, let's just go back. Now, you see recent searches and favorite searches. Any searches that you have done recently, you see them right here, and I'm actually going to refresh. So I deleted these, and these should update soon. So basically, any search.
Excuse me, when I hit enter on that screen, it brought up a map. It didn't bring up the listings.
Okay, pay close attention to what I'm going to do. If you're in a search, oh, that one's not there. Let me go back. If you're in a search, there are 3 buttons right here. This right here is the map. This is the list. So it just probably showed you the last thing that you saw. And then this is a gallery view. So if you just need to toggle back and forth to what you want to see, you're going to see them. The differences are right up here.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so the next one I want to point out is recent searches. So anything you've done recently. And pay close attention to this. Any searches that you do on the desktop site are going to show up on your app, and any searches you do on the app are going to show up on the desktop site. It can take a couple minutes for it to refresh, for it to sync. But what's cool about this, and we're going to do this in a little bit, is let's say this Luke Skywalker search, we have some results, and then we go with our client, we look at a couple of these properties, and we realize, okay, ooh, the price range is a little low for what they want. They look at some stuff between 250 and 300,000, and it's not very nice for what they think they can afford more. So we're going to change the search on the fly. We're going to update it and save it. So then, but I don't have to go back to my office or my home. I can do it right there from the app. So you'll see any recent searches that you've done. We're going to tap back, or any favorites. So I like to save searches as favorites on the desktop site. And you can do this in the app as well. So I have one for like City of Rocky Mount stats and all my production, which just shows me all sold listings that I've ever done. So I'm going to show you now how we can change a search on the fly. So we're going to go to saved, and we see our saved searches. Now I see the Luke Skywalker 3 to 4 bedroom Jacksonville. Now, like I said before, we go check out these properties with Luke, and again, they're between 250 and 300,000. He's like, I think we can go another 50,000 for a range. That's more what they're looking for. They're just not seeing the quality that they want. And so this is what I'm doing. Let's imagine we're out with Luke and we look at 3 properties, and he says, yeah, these aren't really working for me. How can we up the price? Like, yeah, let's do it right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap on Luke Skywalker. And the key thing is right here is this filter. Now this is a search that I saved on the desktop site, but I want to update it on my app. So I'm going to go to filter right here. And the filter is the same thing as a search. It's going to show you your search parameters. And if I scroll down, I see there my listing price, 250 to 300,000. And right now there's 21 results. So I'm going to tap inside these boxes, and I'm going to up the price to 300,000 to 350. And then whenever you're done with some, just tap on done. And now we have 9 results. So I want to view these 9 results. And what's great about this is, let's say, okay, well, we're already out, we're already driving around. You could pull up these individual properties, and, you could contact the listing agent and say, hey, can we take a look at this? So you don't have to go back to the office, but because I've made that change, I want to make sure that I do save it. So we're going to go to the 3 dots right here in the upper right corner. And there's an option right here to save. Save as would be like if I'm doing a different search, but I'm happy with this one. So I'm just tap on save. And whenever you're using the app, up in the top, it'll drop down for a second and show you the functionality, like this was saving. So this search is now saved. And so this is going to be good for the future. And if you have a subscription with this search, then it's now just going to send listings between 300 and 350,000. Takeaway here is, as often happens, you're out with your client, you have a search, you look at some properties, they're not happy with it. So, so you don't forget, or, maybe you want to look at listings while you're out with them, update your search parameters by doing what we just did. We went into our saved searches. I found the search that I want to update. So I see the Luke Skywalker one right here, tap on that. And then I go up to the filter option to change my search parameters. So I changed it from 250 to 300 to 300 to 350. View my results. And then I just went up to the 3 dots and I clicked on save. So I hadn't made any changes, so it just gives me the option of save as, but if I had made the changes, it'll show me save. And don't worry, this class is being recorded, so you will be able to watch it later on if you want to follow along while you're watching the recording. Okay, so that was how to change a saved search. So now what we're going to do, and this is really the key functionality of the app, is we're going to do a new search from scratch. So I'm going to tap on new search. Now it starts in Missoula because that's currently where I am. I'm on my 18th state, I think, around the US. Been on the road for 4 months. So here is all the results for all of North Carolina regional. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to narrow this down to Jacksonville. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. We can go up to filter, which shows us all our search parameters, or what's one of the more popular ways is this kind of looks like a stick in the mud or a painter's easel. This right here is how we can draw a shape with our finger. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a shape with my finger. But before I do that, watch what happens to the mouse. I'm going to use my thumb and my index finger. and I'm going to put it on my screen. And if I pinch out with my fingers, it zooms in. If I pinch in with my fingers, it on the map. Or if I just use one finger, my index finger, and put it on, I can move it around. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to zoom back in to Jacksonville. Give it a second to load. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that artist easel right here, the stick in the mud, tap on it, and then it says up at the top, draw to select area. So I'm just going to draw a shape. Now this is going to be an arbitrary shape, but just to show you how this works. So I've drawn a shape, and now we see the results drop down to 95. So again, you can draw a shape, and what's really cool about it is right here, this is your locate option. Now I can't do this here because I'm currently in Montana, but what's cool about this is if you were to tap on this, it's going to zoom into your location. Let's say, for example, your location is the third open house you've looked at with your client. They're not happy with any of them. So why don't you just zoom into that area and you say, like, they like the area, they just don't like the houses. Well, you can zoom in that area, draw a shape, and see, okay, hey, is there anything else in this area in our price range? And then pull up those listings. So again, the functionality of the app is allowing you to do a lot of the same functionality in FlexMOS while you're on the road, while you're out with your clients. So we have 95 results. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to filter so we can narrow this down. So let's go to filter. And you do see options for open houses or tour homes, but I'm just going to do a couple of these. I'll do the listing price. And again, this is like the Mr. Coffee maker. You just tap on it, it turns on. We'll do 250, 300,000. Subtype, we're going to do the single family residence. Bedrooms, we'll do 3 to 4. Keep going down, Bass. We're going to do a 2 minimum, not give a max. So everyone likes extra bathrooms. And square foot heated, let's do 1,500 to 2,000. And so each time after I'm done typing these in, I'm going to tap on done to complete that search. Oh, so there's nothing there. We'll just do 1,500 minimum. I don't live in your area, so I don't know what exactly to look for. Now, what's cool about this, and this is the same functionality that you see on the desktop side, is you have an option to add a field right here. Tap on add field. All of your fields that you want to search on are here. But if you know what you're looking for, like say city limits, I'm going to type in city limits. You see the checkbox, and then when I tap on done up at the top, it's going to add, okay, city limits is right up here. And then I can select the items, and I want to say city limits of yes. And so these happen to be, so 4 of them are in the city limits where before we had 8. So I'm happy with these 4 results. So this is what we've basically done. We've done a search on the fly. And what's great about this, let's say for an example, one thing I like to talk about with realtors is, let's say, you're wearing your realtor name badge, you're out at Walmart or Costco, wherever you're at, someone comes up to you, starts chatting with you. And they say, hey, we're on vacation here and this is what we like. If you have some time with them, normally what I'd say is just invite them to the portal if you only have a couple of minutes, and that we will do that in a little bit. But if you do have some time, ask them what they're looking for. You can pull up your phone, pull up your app, put in the search parameters, and you get some results. Like with this example, let's say we ran into someone, we got these 4 results. We can pull up these results right away. And then, we could do something with this search. We could save this search, we could share it. But before we do that, I'm actually going to take a look at these 4 results. And there's a couple different ways you can look at the results. Now, if I zoom in by pinching out my fingers and tap on, like say the one that says 250, down at the bottom, it's going to kind of give like a preview of the listing. And if I swipe left to right down at here, it'll go to the next listing. And swipe again, it'll go to the next listing. Now, what I find most people like to do is they'll switch to the gallery view here, which is similar to what you see down here. You're going to see a preview, a larger preview of the photos, and you can swipe through the actual photos here. And then you scroll down with by using your finger, go to the next one. But a lot of people just like to use what I'd call the list view. So if I tap on this, this gives a photo and then some basic information, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, that kind of thing. Now, before we're going to actually share this search, meaning we're going to save it and set up a subscription, what I want to do is I want to point out these 3 dots. Whenever you see these 3 dots inside of FlexMLS, it means there are more options, and there's some really cool things you can do here. And so when I tap on the 3 dots, you notice a lot of options like share. If you want to share just an individual listing, which we're not going to do because we're going to actually share all of them by saving in share is basically the same way as like saving in the app. Recommend a listing. Well, I'm going to do this in the hot sheet, but basically recommending listings is kind of the idea. Let's say we save this search and it's between 250 and 300,000. Well, I pull up the hot sheet and I notice a new house has showed up. That's for 305. Well, that's not going to show up in their search, but I know on that street, in that neighborhood, 305 is an absolute steal. Like they're just looking to sell quickly. And so what I might tell my client is, okay, once a week or so, I might recommend a listing. It isn't exactly what you're looking for, but I'd like you to see it. And whenever we recommend listings or we add to collections, this is where the portal is important, because if you've set your client up with the portal, that's where those listings are going to go. They're going to go into the portal and they're going to see that information in the portal. But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just select this listing. I'm going to select a couple of listings because we're going to be talking about listing collections in a little bit. And you'll notice now we have this number badge. So let me just select one more. Because when you select listings, you can add them to a collection. There's 2 types of collections. A personal collection means just for you. You're keeping track of some listings. You want to see what's going on with them. When listings are in collections, they always stay in the collection. Whereas if we save this search, right now this is active with pending. If one of these goes to closed, it'll no longer be in the search. We'll go from 4 results to 3 results. Whereas with listing collections, they always stay in a collection. So it's a great way to keep track of listings. The other collection option is a portal collection, meaning you're saving it specifically to a client's portal. The reason we would do that is, let's say you're going to 3-4 open houses every weekend with Luke Skywalker, and he doesn't like any of them, and you're up to like 15, 20 properties. How do you keep track of all the open houses that you've been to? Very simple. You save it to his portal collection, so it's mapped to his account, so he can see that while he's in the portal, and then he can remember which property he's gone to, or you can remember that as well. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is really the purpose of this search is we're gonna save a search for our clients while we're out on the road. So this looks like a sideways flux capacitor from Back to the Future, so I'm gonna tap on that. And it says name the search, so let's do R2D2. I think I've already done Luke Skywalker on this account. And we'll do, I'm just gonna say East Jacksonville, so it's kind of the eastern part. So something that is easy to remember. And then we're gonna do save and share. So this, when you tap on save and share, give it a second. Now, what it will do is it'll give me an option to select contact. And before I even do anything, I do want to point out, it says subscribe to updates. This is the same thing as a subscription on the desktop site. Now, the difference between this subscription and the subscription on the desktop site is on the desktop site, you have an option to do daily, monthly, or as soon as possible, meaning the moment the MLS number has hit in the MLS, or there's a price change or a status changes. So pay close attention to this. For whenever you're doing it on the app, it's automatically ASAP, meaning as soon as possible. What that means is new listings are going to fire off in about 10 minutes. Price changes and status changes about 2 to 5 minutes. So it's when you're doing it on the app, it is only ASAP. So this is great because like this, for example, is just 4 listings. It's a pretty narrow search. So they might get an email like every couple days, but that email is going to fire off immediately. Whereas if you have a really, really broad search and you're using ASAP, you know, there's 100 results, they might receive 20 individual emails every day. So you want to be careful with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a contact. Now I will see my list of contacts and I don't see R2D2 here. So just give it a second to load. So there's just a delay on Zoom. It's actually very fast on my screen. Okay, so I don't see R2D2 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on the plus sign. And I'm going to put in his information. So we'll say R2D2 beach life at mailinair.com. And we'll put in his information. R2D2. And then if I put in a phone number, the great thing about putting in a phone number is you're going to be able to text your client listings if you. So what I'm doing is I'm going to click on save up at the top. So I've now created a contact while I'm with R2D2. I see he's there and I could put in a message if I'd like. So I could say, you know, here are some listings for you. It's personal preference. And then the subscribe to updates is green. It's toggled on. So this would set up a subscription. Now this is an iPad. I don't have any texting functionality or I don't have an email set up. That's why these two are grayed out. But if you do have your phone, you're going to see an option to email and an option to text. And the more option, this would bring you options like WhatsApp or, you know, other programs that'll give you access to. So no, otherwise, normally I tap on email or text, and this would fire off to R2D2. But again, this is just a test iPad. I don't have that functionality on here. So that's how that works. So again, once we've done a search, we're going to go up to that looks like the sideways flux capacitor, tap on that, put in the information, and then we will email or text our client these listings. Okay, so I'm going to go back. So just to sum up that section, if we're doing a search from scratch, we're going to go to new search. It's going to go to your area. And you can use the artist easel, the stick in the mud, to tap on it and draw a shape if you'd like. And that's probably if you overlap. There we go. You use your index finger and your thumb to zoom out or zoom in. This is the map view. This is the gallery view. And then this is the list view. So I'm just going to tap on one of these listings. So I showed you how to search, but let's actually look at one of these properties. So I'm just going to tap on the one right here in Midway Park. When you pull up an actual listing, there's a bunch of things that you can do. Now we see the photos, which we can scroll through. Otherwise, if I tap on a photo, otherwise, did I lose anyone? It looks like my internet dropped for a second. Otherwise, if I tap on a photo, it will see the photo. And if you were to turn your screen sideways, you'll actually see it full screen. And so we scroll down, we see things like map, driving directions. If you want to see the history of the property, I can tap on history. So see all the times that this has been listed. You see the other realtor's name. What's cool about this is, let's say you're out with your client and you want to pull up a property, well, you can pull up the listing member's information, and you could call or text them and say, hey, we're in the area. We'd like to take a look at this property. Can we show? And says, yeah, you can take a look at it. And now it isn't on this particular listing, but usually there's a schedule through showing time. You know, this realtor has turned that off for the specific listing, but you can schedule listings from the FlexMLS app. And if I scroll down, you'll see things like days on right, days on market, whatever else. This is the private information. So again, if your client's looking over your shoulder, they are going to see everything. And I could always go to showing info if I wanted to get more information about. So this one says lockbox appointment required, showing time. He just doesn't happen to have it turned on for this specific listing. So if you pull up a property, that's what you see. So that is some basic searching. So now what we're gonna do is gonna keep moving along. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the hot sheet. So when I go to the hot sheet, I see a lot of listings, a lot of new listings, a lot of price changes. That's because this is everything in North Carolina regional. So if I wanna narrow it down just to Jacksonville, I'm gonna tap on filter and see where it says enter city, zip, or location. I'm gonna type in Jackson. We'll do the city of Jacksonville, but you'll notice you can do it for specific subdivisions if you'd like. And it says time frame, past 2 days. Now, the hot sheet on the app works different than on the desktop site. On the app, it says the past 2 days, meaning if I tap on this, I can do today, which would be everything since 12:01 a.m. today. Whereas on the desktop site, the default is 24 hours back, 36 hours back, 48 hours back. So it's not an actual like the day, it's by hours. So people may look at the app and notice that there's a different number on the hot sheet. Well, it's like they think, oh, the hot sheet's wrong. No, it's just, it counts differently on the app versus on the desktop site. So let's just do today. We'll tap on done. And I can do different property types if I like. Otherwise, I'm just going to tap on view events. And so let's see if there's some new listings. Okay, got 50 and 234,000. So remember I said before, there you do have the option to recommend listings. Let's say, for example, my client's looking between 200 and 230,000. Now I've saved a search and set up a subscription so they're receiving those listings. But I check the hot sheet every day and I see, oh, this one's for 234. And I happen to know that, hey, this is a really great property for that price. Like that street, everything's running like 260, 270. These people that own it, maybe you've gone to an open house there or a tour of homes and you know they want to sell quickly. So you tell your client, hey, I want to recommend a listing to you like maybe once a week. I want you to take a look at this. So how we do this is simple. We're going to go to the 3 dots and I'm going to tap on recommend. And I'm going to select my contact. Let's use R2D2, our new client. And there it says listing recommended successfully. So when he logs into his portal, he's going to see a section on the left side. He would see like a saved search if he has it. He'll see a listing collection like recommended, saved. And if he goes to the recommended, he'll see that recommended listing. And recommended listings also show up in the news feed. So the news feed for your client is basically, it's like Twitter. The newest listings are up at the top. So when you have a subscription set up, they're getting a constant feed of new listings, price changes, status changes, that kind of thing. So that is how we use the hot sheet. So tap on hot sheet. And again, we go to filter, or we can always refresh it in the upper left corner, see if there's anything that's come up. Now, contacts. Tap on contacts. Here are a list of contacts. So let me explain a couple things. The default sort is called most active, the last 7 days. Now, if you have someone that was active yesterday or in the last week, you're going to notice there's going to be a blue bar. And depending how active they've been, it'll be a small blue bar or a big blue bar. I wasn't playing around with the system yesterday, so you don't see a blue bar. but it sorts on the people that are the most active. So what's cool about this, and especially let's say you're out in the field, you've just finished with a look at some open houses with a client, and you got a little downtime, you pull up your contacts list, you can see who is most active, meaning who is doing searching in the portal, looking at listings. And you might see that Gold Leader is really active and you haven't talked to him for a week. Well, why don't you tap on Gold Leader and see what he's actually looking at, give him a call, say, hey, looks like you're interested in this property, you want to take a look at it. So what I mean by that is we're going to pull up Wedge for an example. So I'm going to pull up Wedge, and let's say I have some downtime, and the first thing I notice is he's viewed some listings. And maybe Wedge is someone that I met just a couple of days ago, and I want to see, okay, what is he looking at? This is why the portal is so important, especially in conjunction with the app, is it provides you valuable data. Let's say that I met Wedge at Costco a couple days ago, and I didn't have a lot of time, so I was in a hurry or he was in a hurry, but he saw my realtor name badge, and he says, hey, we really like the area. We want to take a look at some listings. And again, maybe you don't even have time to set up a search and subscription, which we just did in a little bit. So you can invite him to the portal. And when you invite him to the portal, he doesn't even need a saved search and subscription. So what I mean by that is you can invite him to the portal, he signs in, and then he can play around with it himself. And then you might say, okay, in a couple days, I'm going to reach out to you after you've looked at some properties. So let's see, what has he looked at? Well, viewed listings, he's viewed 8. I tap on viewed listings, and the first thing that jumps out to me is, ooh, he has tapped on that 113 Pine Lakes Drive 5 times. This is my reason to contact him. So I met him a couple of days ago, and I see that he's tapped on this one 5 times. So he's probably really likes this property. So what I can do is I can, if I had his phone number, I could text him or I could call him and say, hey, Wedge, it looks like you're interested in that property on Pine Lakes Drive. You want to take a look at it this weekend? Oh, yeah. That is what's great about the portal with the app. And it's the same functionality works on the desktop site. But when you give your clients access to the app, they generate data for you. So either by viewing listings, or I'm going to tap on back, or the other option is shared listings. So I go to shared listings. This is one that he shared. People tend to share listings with husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, mother-in-law, that kind of thing. So this would be another reason he shared this property. Say, well, why don't we also look at that one on King Richard Course? He's like, oh yeah, of course. And if you go back, you'll also see if they're saving listings or hiding listings. Sometimes your client can't verbalize what they like or what they don't like. So we're going to go to the listings that he's saved. So that he saved one on Jasmine Lane. And also if he's hidden any listings. So if he's hidden a bunch of listings, you might want to take a look at the listings that he's hidden and realize, okay, maybe you'll notice all 4 or 5 hidden listings all are the color blue. So he clearly doesn't like the color blue. Go back a few steps. So the contact record, when you pull this up on the app, can provide you some very valuable information. So what does that mean? Well, let's go back to the contacts record, and let's imagine you meet someone and we're going to use C3PO. I don't have him in this list. So we meet C3PO at Walmart. He sees my realtor name badge and he's like, oh, we like the area, but they're in a hurry. You don't have time to go over here, do the search, do all the search parameters. So what you say is, well, why don't I give you access to my portal? And you tell them, the portal is a website you can log into, tell me what you like, what they don't like. You can do your own searching. Now the portal is the Fleximalist public version, meaning they're not going to see the other realtors' information. They're not going to see private fields. But to invite someone on the portal while you're out on the road is incredibly simple. Literally what you would do is, okay, let's say you logged into your app. You just jump to contacts. You go to the plus sign. So let's put in the C3PO. It's okay. You ask them, okay, what's your email? I know sometimes when you meet people, they might provide you an incorrect email address. I don't know why, but sometimes they do that. So what you tell C3PO is you say, hey, I'm going to send you an invitation to the portal right now. And so after I email it to you, I'll kind of explain what the portal is. And this is where you kind of have like let's say you have a 30-second elevator speech. I'd say like you have a minute-long portal. You explain the value of the portal. Well, the portal's live, up-to-date information. And so things like Zillow, you might say, have you used Zillow? And you look at the properties and it says active, but it's actually pending or closed. You tell them Zillow is not the primary source of information. So there's no guarantee that information is up to date. Well, if I give you access to my portal, you have live, up-to-date information. So new listings are fired off in about 10 minutes, where Zillow could be hours or days. Price changes or status changes 2 to 5 minutes. And I know with price changes for Zillow, I mean, sometimes it can be days. When I was an MLS director last year, I got calls every single day from my members saying, hey, I updated this listing, Zillow hasn't reflected it yet. Why is that the case? And then I'd have to contact Zillow and say, hey, that my member has updated this listing. Can you make sure? And sometimes it took a couple of days. So if you explain the value of the portal, it's live, up-to-date information, number one. And two, you can track what they're looking at so you can better help them in their search. Meaning if they're doing searching in Zillow, you don't see what they're looking at. So you tell, there's going to be a send invite right here next to my, give this a second to load. There's going to be a send invite to my new contact. And this is the portal invitation. So I tap on send invite. And this message right here where it says, I'd like to connect with you using FlexMLS, you can change this message and it'll actually cache it. It'll save it in your app for the next time. But I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to type an email invite. So the invitation has been sent, says invite sent successfully. This is now when you give your minute-long portal speech. So the email should arrive within 30 seconds or a minute. And then what you say is, hey, pull up your phone, pull up your email, and I'll walk you through the process. Now, in a portal class that I teach, or I did this in the 201 class, we actually walk through the process. It is incredibly simple. They literally just put in a password like 1234, and then they're logged into the portal. And once they've logged into the portal, they can do their own searching. They can save listings, hide listings. Again, for C3PO, we've not saved a search. We've not set up a subscription. We literally did this process in about 2 minutes. And then he starts playing around with it. And so like my example that I had earlier with Wedge, I met Wedge a couple of days ago. I got some downtime. Let's see what he's looking at. Oh, this is where I see the listings that he's viewed. That one he's viewed 5 times. This is now my reason to call him up and say, hey, do you want to see this property on 113 Pine Lakes Drive? For Wedge, again, never saved a search, never set up a subscription, but he's generated data for me. And what's great about when you're dealing with clients is, say if I did save a search, I save listings right here. But you can, we did in the beginning of the class, you can save a search right here from your app. So if you're with your client or you're after you've taken a look, you like, okay, this is what he likes, just go to search and then do the new search process and save a new search from while you're out in the field. So this is some basic stuff for your contacts, and you'll notice Lando, Obi-Wan, and R2D2 all say invite, meaning these 3 contacts have not been invited to the portal yet, where everyone else that just has a bar has a portal invitation. They've actually logged into the portal. Now collections. Let me go over collections. Now remember while we were searching through some listings, and I'll actually go to the hot sheet to show you how this works. The 3 dots next to any listings, if you tap on the 3 dots, there is that option to add to a collection or to select. I'm just going to select it. So now I'm up to 3 listings. So I'm going to go to the selection. So I've selected 3 listings, and I'm going to tap on selected. And so I do have the option to share all or recommend all, or if I tap on the 3 dots, add to collection. So I like to select listings first before I add them to collection, but I'm going to tap on add to collection. Now, when I add to collection, it gives me two options: add to personal collection and add to portal collection. I explained this before, but we'll talk about it again. A personal collection, if you're taking notes, means you. You're just going to keep them. And so I'm going to add to a personal collection, and I don't see any collections here. So I'm just going to add a new collection, and I'm just going to say houses to watch. So this is for me. Click on save. So I now have saved these to a personal collection. And to see a personal collection, you would see it right here once it's refreshed. It might take a couple of minutes, but no, it's right there, houses to watch. So that's the personal collection. That's just stuff for you. Whereas a portal collection, this will actually put it on your client's portal. So when they log into the portal, they will be able to keep track of listings. The reason we're saving it to a client's portal is, again, my example of open houses. You're looking at a bunch of open houses with a client and you're up to like 15 or 20. How do you keep track of all those properties? Just save them to a portal collection. So we're going to go back to the selected right here. So we have 3 properties, and we're going to do the 3 dots again, but this time, instead of saving it for a personal collection, we're going to do a portal collection. So I'm going to add to the collection right down here. And we're going to do the portal collection. And so I find whatever contact I want. I'm going to do Luke Skywalker, or no, maybe we'll do Wedge because we've been using him. We'll do Wedge. Now he doesn't have a collection, so that's fine. We'll add a new collection. And don't worry, this is being recorded. I know this is kind of a couple of steps. It might be hard to remember, but once you've done it a few times, it's really easy. So we're just say wedges, open houses, click on save. And so it says up the top, collection created successfully. If I want to make sure that it actually is saved to his record, simple. I'm going to go back to contacts, go to Wedge Antilles right here. And there we see collections, 1, Wedges open houses, and then there are the 3 properties. So what's cool about this is maybe you're out with your client and you just want to review, hey, well, what have we already looked at? You know, you can look at this, but you can save collections or update collections while you're out with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to these collections. I'm going to clear the selected. So these 3 are just going to always stay selected until I clear them. So I clear them because I've already done something with them. I've added them to a collection. And let's say, okay, so we're out with Wedge, and I'm just going to pull up a property from the hot sheet. And let's say this property, we looked at it. And so I know I'm keeping a tally of all his open houses. I want to make sure I don't forget to add this one to his collection. So simple. We're going to go to the 3 dots. So we do 1 listing at a time. We'll add it to a collection. Remember, portal collections for your client. So do the portal collection. My contact was Wedge. Wedges open houses. Save. Listings added to cart still successfully. So now I know Wedge doesn't have 3 listings in his listing collection. He has 4. So I'm keeping track of those listings. So maybe I originally planned on 3, but we saw a open house sign while we were on the road. We checked out that property, and I want to make sure I don't forget to add that one. So I just did it. And again, to verify it's correct, we're going to go to contacts. There we go. Wedges open houses right here. Those are now the 4 properties. So again, we keep a running tally of all the property he's looked at. So that was collections. And whenever you select listings, you're going to see a number badge here. And then the final thing, I'm going to go to more. Go to more, I will see my information, any messages I have. What's cool about this is members. If I want to search for a member, I've had AEs or CEOs of boards tell me if they need to contact someone. A lot of times they'll just type it into the FlexMLS app. It's faster. then their contact management program. So we'll just tap in Jessica Bass. And I see, okay, here her phone number, here's her text. If I need to reach out to another realtor, I see all this information on the app. And then you also have an option to send feedback, log out. But this is a really, really cool thing, is the My Listings. If you have any listings, you can update the price while you're on your phone. So while you're at the house, you don't have to go back to the office. You can update the price, you can change the status, or you can upload photos. Now, I actually have to log out of my North Carolina regional account and log into my demo account just to show you what this looks like, because I don't have a an active listing in North Carolina because this is a training account. So let me just log in really quickly and show you what that would look like. So the same app, just need a different account. So we'll go back to more and the My Listings. Pay close attention to what happens here. I'm gonna go to My Listings. I see a listing that I have. So if I want to edit this listing while I'm on my phone, I'm out with my client, tap on the listing, and in the upper right corner, there is an edit option right here. So I tap on edit. The things that I can do, I can change the status. So I can add a contingency or append. It depends on what your setup is like in North Carolina Regional. This is a demo account in Fargo, so things are going to be different. But you can change the status. You can change the price. So maybe you meet up with your clients at Starbucks or something, and you talk about and say, yeah, we're really not getting the views that we want. Should we drop the price? Well, yeah. So why don't you drop the price right now? It's like maybe it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, a lot of people are on the MLS. Let's change the price. I don't have to go back to my office. I can do it right now. So I'm gonna change the price from $290, let's change it down to $285, and this is instantaneous. And so this is going to show up in any search or descriptions. It's going to show up on the hot sheet for other realtors. So now the price is $285,000. We see that right here. And then the final thing that you can do is photos, and this one I really, really like, because a lot of people have problems. They'll take photos and then they have to upload them to their desktop, and they have to figure out what folder it's in and then add them. Well, you can add photos right from your iPhone. So if I go to photos, I see the one photo that I have, but if I tap on add photos, I can either take a photo or go to my photo library, and I can upload from my photo library. So if you have things in the iCloud, wherever you can find them. So if you're taking them from your phone and you put them in the iCloud, you could download them from the iCloud and then upload them specifically to that listing. So that's a really cool thing. A lot of times boards require at least one photo, but you want to take some photos, and you can upload them. You're at the house, maybe there was a lot of snow or something, or a lot of rain and the photos were bad. So you take a couple new photos and you want to upload them as soon as possible. While you're out at the house, this is how you do it. So just to sum up that section again, if you go to more and go to My Listings, you have an option to tap on whatever listing you want to upload or update. And if you go to edit, you can change the status. You can change the price, and then you can upload photos. And also you could add it to an open house. That's new functionality from Flexible. So there's actually 4 things you can do here. So let's just kind of sum up what we talked about. We've got a couple more minutes. Searching, basic searching. These address to saved are pretty self-explanatory. The quick launch, that's the 5 things that you can do: MLS number, address, radius, name of something like a search or a name of a member. Number 5 would be an actual search, like active, comma, 250 to 300K, city of Jacksonville, not Jacksonville. City of Jacksonville, tap on go. Oh, here we go right here. Residential. Do basic search. So we got 13 results. So you can do a basic search. Otherwise, you'd probably do the new search, which is starting a search from scratch. The key things here is the filter lets you put in search parameters. The stick in the mud allows you to draw a shape with your finger. And right now it says 119 results and it says Fargo because I'm still in that test account. And then the sideways flux capacitor, this is a share option. So if you want to share the search and save it, which is basically a search and subscription. The key thing to remember is subscriptions are ASAP automatically when you're using the app. Then we talked about the hot sheet. Contacts. Contacts are a great way to either add a contact on the fly, meaning you ran into someone at Walmart and you want to invite them to the portal. It only takes a couple minutes. Or if you want to pull up a contact record and see what they're viewing, to have a reason to reach out to them. Say, Luke's looked at a property 8 times. Okay, I'm going to call Luke and say, hey, it looks like you really like this one. Are you in town this weekend? He's like, yeah. Why don't we take a look at it? Then collections, whenever you select listings, and you select listings by tapping on the 3 dots next to listing, you can do something with them, either share them, recommend them, or my favorite thing is add them to a collection. And then finally, we just did this, the more, if you want to look up any members, but the coolest thing is the My Listings. If you pull up one of your listings, you can change the price, change the status, add it to an open house, or upload photos. Okay, so we are basically at an hour. Do we have any questions before I finish? Again, don't worry, this was recorded, so it's nice to kind of just watch to see the functionality. Then once you get the recording, play the video, try it on your phone, and once you've done it once or twice, the app is quite easy to use. So, any questions? Sharon asked when the recording will be ready. I assume the board should have it within a couple of hours. It's usually how long it takes for Zoom to process it. Okay, if that is it, I believe Jamie is on the line at the board if she can stop the recording. And if you know anyone that is a Fleximos Android user, they have an Android phone, we will be doing that class on Thursday, same time. Otherwise, I want to thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day.